Hello, my friends, and welcome to the Experience of the Soul podcast. My name is Cynthia Alice Anderson. I'm the host. I'm actually the owner and founder of the channel as well, and I've been honored to bring you this show for so many years now. My goodness, I can't believe we're way over show 400 now. Anyway, my friends, welcome to the show. Happy to have you along the journey with us. We are in the yurt again here in Flagler Beach with some wonderful friends and colleagues, and happy to have them with us as well. And of course, we want to welcome in our producer, Mr. Sean Kilgore.
Thank you so much. Honored and blessed as always to be here. Thank you very much. This is episode 410 of Experience of the Soul. So happy to be here. Today, of course, is Monday, April 27th, but welcome whenever you are joining us. We are glad that you are here.
Yeah.
All right. Today's episode is titled Inside Outside. So we'll get into that in just a minute. But first, as always, this week in spiritual history. So you may be feeling, if you're feeling sort of like I am, this week sort of has a bit of a settling energy to it, really not in a stagnant way, more like things are sort of finding their place. Like for me, it kind of feels like a moment to take a breath and honor what's coming to life as we move into this season of growth and vitality that is summer, right? We're just on the cusp of it. So
it's hard to believe.
I know,
wow,
right?
the year has flown.
It really has. So we begin with tomorrow, April 28th, Tuesday. We come into Yom HaZikaron. This is observed in Israel as a day of remembrance for fallen soldiers and victims of conflict. Yeah. So this is a very reflective day, and it honors the sacrifice and the cost of protecting what matters to us. Right? Moments like this remind us how important it is to sort of pause, to remember, to hold space for both grief and gratitude, right? So we lift our Jewish friends during this very sacred time for them.
Yeah, I mean, the Bible says greater love has no man than this, than to lay down his life for his friends. So absolutely honoring that, yes.
Yeah. And then this Thursday, April 30th, there's Walpurgis Night, which I had never heard of this one before.
I've never heard of that one either, yeah.
This is a tradition observed in parts of Europe that marks the turning point from winter into the lighter half of the year. So it's often connected to clearing out what no longer belongs, making space for what's next. It kind of reminded me of like what our spring cleaning.
Oh, yeah,
right? It's kind of what we do there, taking a moment to release what's behind you, and so you can sort of step forward with the most clarity. So we honor those that are observing this tradition at this time. And then as we move into the weekend, Friday, May 1st, many traditions around the world recognize what is called Beltane.
Oh, yes.
So this is an ancient Celtic festival that marks the beginning of summer. So it's traditionally associated with fire and vitality and the energy of new life fully arriving, which is a beautiful statement. New life fully arriving. This feels like a great reminder that growth is not something that we wait for. It is something that we step into.
Beautiful.
Right. We honor those observing Beltane at this time. And our Just for Fun this week is National Superhero Day, which is on Tuesday, April 28th. That's tomorrow. So sometimes, you know, the real life superhero energy isn't about anything big or dramatic. It's about showing up. Right? Doing what needs to be done, being there for the people in your life. So maybe take some time this week to recognize the superheroes in your life. I was just going to say the same thing. I was going to say it about you. Not all superheroes wear capes. Some wear prayer beads.
That's right. Super
Now there's going to be, I feel like there's an AI generated cartoon of that coming.
Right.
Right. All right. My friends, your journal prompt for this week. What in your life is asking to be honored, and where are you ready to move forward?
Oh, wow. Ask that one again, Sean. That's a good one.
What in your life is asking to be honored, and where are you ready to move forward?
Yeah.
With that, my friends, welcome to episode 410 of Experience of the Soul. This is Inside Outside.
Inside Outside, yeah. Well, your journal prompts are getting so good.
I'm loving that.
Yeah. Ask that one more time, Sean, because that is going to take me a slightly different direction at the beginning, but I want to go with this, the way you asked that question one more time.
Oh, yeah. What in your life is asking to be honored, and where are you ready to move forward?
Yes. I want to share a little of my personal journey on this because the way you asked it, I don't think I would have even thought of it relating to this show. But, we talked about the last show a lot about sacred spaces, and I talked about structures, and I said, we got to go inward. And this is an even deeper awareness of that, which is really the whole point of inside outside. But I want to first answer Sean's prompt and his journaling prompt, because our hope is, that you take those and kind of jot them down and, maybe work them during the week. And one of the things relating to space I've realized I need personally is to make space for myself. And it sounds so simple, my friends, but realizing that I need a space, and that space needs to be safe and secure. And that has been a little bit of an awakening for me, that when I have space, I feel rich. I feel prosperous. When I have space for my, for me, my favorite thing to do really is my spiritual practice. And I love doing it every day. I don't even mind getting up early for it, but I love when I get to sleep in and still get as much time for that as I want. Like, to somebody else, that probably wouldn't be a big deal. But for me, it's like the filling up of my tank. And when we were talking about space, it's like, well, I need space for me, and figuring that out, especially as my life has gone through a few changes over the last couple of years, a son leaving for college, and now I have a new relationship and kids and different things going on, that the need for space for myself has really kind of risen to the top, as if I don't have this, I'm going to come across unprepared. I'm going to come across not feeling my best. Maybe my emotions are a little closer to the surface. But when I get space, oh, I am golden, honey. I can handle anything. There's an emergency, I'm good. I got you. I'm there, And so knowing our next steps, what needs to be honored, what needs to be, as we're always talking about, let go of. For me, my work right now personally is making space for myself. Part of me getting my little boat that I love was making space for myself to be on the water. It's something I've always loved to do, and I never get to do it. And it's like, if I'm not doing something, I'm in my mid-50s. If I'm not doing it now, that's on me. Nobody's keeping me from it but myself. And so I'd find reasons not to. So anyway, I wanted to share it with you because I'm continuing to learn and grow almost every day that I see aspects of myself that when I allow space for myself, the truth is it brings me closer to God, because God is here. God is here. And so for me, making space, sometimes it is mental, not thinking about what's next, what I have to do, who needs me. Sometimes it is just allowing myself to sit and do nothing. I love to sit and do nothing, actually. What I did as a kid, I used to joke about, I'm going to go outside and sweat and whittle. I used to get my knife and just sit there and whittle a stick. Actually, it's in my new book coming out, a story about that. But anyway, and that's what I used to like to do. I just sit and whittle and just be quiet. And as adults, we never sit and whittle. You know what I mean? Right. So mental space. But I've just discovered for myself, if I don't do that, I am not the person I want to be. It's that simple. It's that simple. So I want you to, I hope you will think about that and to join me. I ask for your prayers that I do that for myself, because it feels very rich and prosperous when I make time for myself. So I mentioned it can be mental, yes. It can be physical, where I say, as I talked about last show, put up my sign, prayers in progress, give me a moment. It can be to be by myself in the woods. at my ministry I served one time, I would sometimes share in the talk, I went for a hike this weekend and, I had a special experience. And this lady kept coming up to me and said, well, why don't you tell me when you go? I want to go. I said, well, you got to find your own thing. If you want to go hiking, go. You don't have to wait on me. I can't be in charge of every aspect of your journey. And she said, oh, yeah, I didn't even think of that, And, but it was so nurturing for me that I think she was experiencing the energy. She could feel, I was coming back renewed, refreshed, alive, and connected. So, I just felt it was important to share that and ask for your prayer support because I can use it. I can use it to make space for myself. And today, to deepen the ideas of sacred spaces, and for me, space for myself, what helps me in my thought process is to remember I can only see outside of myself what I am on the inside. Inside, outside. As above, so below, as within, so without. Right? That's all it ever can be. And I know there is a lot of evil in the world, and I know probably our listeners, maybe some of you are going, well, I'm not that. That's true. There may be an egregious level going on. But I know as human beings, we all have times where we wish somebody would suffer for treating us bad. Well, we're seeing somebody making somebody suffer. So that's the kind of connections I'm meaning, that we can only see what we are. And as human beings, we know we're all capable of things we would not like to admit. So the work becomes having the inner work be at the place where we know the outer is going to start in us, yes, and in the larger world is going to start to shift. Because if we hate evil and that hate goes out and creates more of that same energy. And, there's a great scripture. It's actually from the Gospel of Thomas. I wanted to mention the Gospel of Thomas. I don't know if you all have read it, but it was basically one of the books that was part of the Nag Hammadi library that was found in 1945 in the hills of Qumran, I believe is the way you pronounce that, hills of Qumran. But it was an old text. I think there are 114 sayings of Jesus in it. And so it's not stories like we have in the other Gospels. They're just sayings attributed to Jesus. So my point in bringing this up is there are some really wonderful sayings in there, and they weren't added to the Bible because the Bible had already been put together so long, and so many of the sayings did not align with our current understanding. So if you've never read the Gospel of Thomas, or I would really encourage you to. It's of the Gnostic tradition. But Sean, read this quote, if you will, for me.
Sure. If you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you. If you do not bring forth what is within you, what you do not bring forth will destroy you.
Wow. That's intense, right? And, read it one more time. Read it one more time. There's a lot there.
If you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you. If you do not bring forth what is within you, what you do not bring forth will destroy you.
Oh, yes. In other words, if you do not deal with what is inside you, it will eat you alive. I've seen it over and over and over with people that will not do the healing work on the spiritual and on the emotional levels. And I bring it up to my dear friends and listeners because I know so many of you are already doing a deep psychological work. And I also know that these concepts are not new to you, but I want to encourage you in that because sometimes as we're going along the journey and, it's like, why am I working so hard to heal? Well, we're working so hard to heal because, number one, it saves us. Number two, the legacy we leave is better because we're walking through life more healed. And I know from my own work, my son has been the greatest recipient of my healing, not even me, because I've been trudging up the hill the whole time trying to get it done and doing the therapeutic work and, having to deal with a health crisis and different things. So, my path to where I am now was very difficult. Well, my son is starting from where I am. He didn't have to trudge up the hill. He's going to have his other challenges, but he doesn't have the same ones I had because I keep looking inside and saying, how do I want to, as he was younger, how do I want to bring him up? What is the energy I want to surround him with? What is the consciousness I want him to be around? I made conscious choices about the things I had in the home. He did not have a TV the first 3 years of life. He had never seen a commercial until we were at a restaurant. And he said, "What is that?" So, I was very guarded of his consciousness because I did not want him to have the same trudge up that I had. So the inner work I've done, he's the beneficiary. And there's no greater gift than to see your child not struggle. So he has his up and downs like every kid. Well, all of our kids do. There's no perfect kid, right, friends? I'm not saying that. But I'm saying that the more conscious we are, the more inner work we do, the more it helps everyone around us. And the more life gets better and fun. It's not fun to be mad all the time. It's not fun to be a victim to life. And so that's why we look at what is within me, what is needing my healing, or what is needing to be healed so that I can move past that, move through that, and then move into the good, God gave me, that God has for me. I believe wholeheartedly God's will for me is good. I just believe it. So the reminder today, the remembrance for us is, I can only see what I am. See, we get confused. We think we're seeing with our eyes when in fact we're seeing with our minds. And we introject onto the world and onto people simply by how we are perceiving them. When in fact, we're seeing through our own cloudy lens. There's a scripture. I wish I could think of the scripture. It's like, behold, I see now in a mirror dimly, but one day I will see face to face. I feel like we look through this like shadowy thing. And in fact, in psychology, that what we're looking through, those filters, is called the shadow, in fact. Right? And so in spirituality, we often talk about just praying things away. And yes, pray, affirm, affirm, affirm. Yes. But there are times when we have to look at, okay, what is under that needs a different kind of attention? What is under that needs some level of healing? And I feel very strongly that some of the pioneers in actually psychology, psychiatry, even sometimes more than psychology, were dealing with wounds of the soul. The word psyche actually means soul. Psychology is supposed to be the study of the soul, and it's become a study of the mind only. So that's what I'm saying. There's a balance. There's a balance to the work. The great Carl Jung, the psychiatrist who just really revolutionized psychology and taught us about the shadow and such as that. He was interviewed towards the end of his life, and somebody said, well, you've talked about God. Do you believe in God? And he said, believe? I know God. I know God. One of the greatest psychological minds in history. Yeah. He saw the sameness in what our wounds were and sought to bring healing through these revelations. He would say, he who looks outside dreams, he who looks inside awakens. It's one of his most famous quotes. And so when you see all these great minds saying the exact same thing, Jesus from the Gospel of Thomas, Carl Jung, who's known, all over the world for his teachings about the the very psyche, what drives us. They're all saying the same thing. What is on the inner has to be looked at, healed, brought to light so that it can be released. And Carl Jung says exactly what this says, basically, which is all the gold is there. When you can see what's under there, that's wounds, when you can start lifting those up for healing, wow, that's where all the gold is. In other words, rather than avoiding what's under there, what happens is that becomes your greatest gift to the world. It's that healing. So I want to give you a little bit of an assignment. I should say your mission, should you choose to accept it. I just watched another Mission Impossible the other day, so that's one of the ways I make space for myself is watch a dumb movie. Mission Impossible, I love them. Tom Cruise running for 20 years through those movies. So how I like to work with some of the inner aspects is to do what's called, well, the psychological way to call it is shadow work. And what that means is, well, let me say a little bit about shadow. I didn't know I was going to go here, but I'm talking about Jung, which I didn't know I was going to either. So the shadow is basically aspects of the psyche that are unknown to us. It's like we have this invisible bag that we carry over our shoulder, and it's stuffed with all those aspects that we are unaware of. And it's called the shadow because it kind of follows us around, right? And we don't know it's there. But if somebody says something, we have a reaction, or, we think, certain kinds of thoughts, that's all coming out of the shadow. Like, oh, they don't deserve that, or even, oh, she's so beautiful. All those are shadow comments. There's negative shadow, and there's even positive shadow. Like if I hear Sean sing something, I might say, Sean sings so amazing. I could never do that. That's positive shadow. I'm seeing something in Sean. And so what my psyche does is it kind of throws it out in front of me and is trying to see it in myself. Does that make sense? And so, and Sean has said to me, I love singing with you. So it's like I can just accept that and go, oh, I don't have to project onto Sean anymore. I can just hang out with him and enjoy singing together. And I don't have to wonder if I'm the same or as good or as bad, or I just be with it, and that's part of a healing. So the shadow work is, it's fun to do it as a little game. Somebody says something, and whatever my judgment is, I say, where is this in me? One of my favorite teachers in school, Dan Lee, used to say, be careful with this, because you've got 3 coming back at you. So whenever you go out towards somebody else, look right back here and say, what is this in me? It can be positive. It can be negative. And remember, what you're seeing is not with the eyes. It's with the mind. It's your pre-programmed idea of what is happening here. Your pre-programmed idea of what you think should be happening here. So as you start to identify what am I seeing, what am I judging, then the work becomes, okay, where is this in me? I'm going to go just sit and journal about this. I'm just going to journal what I'm seeing and then come back later and say, what is this in me? And is this in me, or is this an area I've done a lot of healing? Maybe I'm recognizing it. But if we're in healing, we're usually not reacting anymore. We usually see it and we go, that ain't me. Going by. Right? That has nothing to do with me. Sean's helped me with that every now and then. We'll get some weird comments online, and he'll go, do you want to see him? I go, no, I'm good. No, I don't need to see weird comments online. I'm okay. He goes, I got you. That's been very helpful, right? Because I don't have to feel that. Be harder to do that if I were reading it all, and so that's part of my safety and connection. That's part of my inner work, is not caring, because God is my source and God is my guidance, So, but it's fun to do this shadow work, believe it or not, because in addition to parts that need healing, you also see parts that are very positive that have gone unacknowledged. It's fun to begin to own the higher aspects of yourself. And these aspects are often something as a child you did very naturally, and the environment you grew up in was not supportive of your light. You know, that the environment you grew up in was very judgmental. Like someone I knew years ago was a little girl, and she loved to dance around. You know, she was had this natural affinity, and she was dancing in the living room, and she hit her dad's newspaper. And, no, you don't do that in this house. I'll never dance again. That went right in their invisible bag. She carried that shadow for a very long time. And you see my body language. This is how it feels when something goes in the shadow. It's like you lose a little piece of yourself. It's kind of a Swiss cheese effect. Have you ever, it's like, oh, here's a piece of your essence. And so shadow work rescues those pieces. And for me, it is a very spiritual process. It is a psychological process because, yes, it includes the emotions. What I want you to know is that little girl was able to finally move back into doing what she was called to do, to move, to dance, to be free. But, you know, there were a lot of stories that happened from that, you know. Men don't support me. All men will hurt me. Dancing is bad, you know. And to a child, that was her truth in that moment. But what we forget, if we don't do the inner work, we think that's the truth, the end. Not that was just a truth right then because she was so powerless. So part of the inside-outside idea is that the more I can heal, the more I can help bring to the surface, you know, the more I can honor within me, the more I can sit with those parts that I don't quite understand. The more healing takes place, then the more healing not only that I experience, but the more healing I can see in the world and the more healing I bring to the world. And everything we're seeing in our world politically is a great one, but not just politically, economically. These are all the behavior of wounded children. It's in the pattern. There are no, in the United States, these are behaviors. This has nothing to do with political parties. I voted all kinds of political parties. So this is about behavior. We have world leaders acting like spoiled children. And it's in the pattern. The inner work isn't done. Nobody knows how to hold their fear. Nobody knows how to take rejection and feedback. These are basics. But when I saw the Artemis 2, we mentioned that. Was that today or
last week?
Last week's show that the Artemis 2 mission. I have faith in humanity in such a big way after seeing those astronauts. After seeing that so many things about that mission. The fact that it happened was a miracle. The fact of their energy around it was a miracle. The fact that there was an African-American pilot was a miracle. The fact that there was a woman with 3 men safe in a tiny container for all that time is a miracle. In other settings, that is not happening. So inside, outside, when I saw that, I said, wow, yes. I know many people have shared that with me. They say, oh, you know what? This is what I believe can happen. I say, yes, it can. But it takes awakened individuals to do it. Because that could have been a very different experience. We were all touched because, wow, they said, we're living our dream up here. We see the earth as one connected thing. We see our oneness. You know, they just were so excited about it. So remember, you can only see truly what you are. Sometimes you're seeing your shadow pieces, what needs to be healed. Sometimes you're seeing your shadow pieces that are positive, that do need healing, because you need to make space for them. But remember, we're seeing with our mind, not really our eyes. And so if you're seeing something that you don't like or that bothers you, take some time. Just jot it down and let yourself have fun with it. Say, I don't know where this one came from, but I'm going to look at it. If you can have that kind of light to your process to know we're all in this together. You know, one of my favorite songs, Micah sang it a few weeks ago at church. We're all just walking each other home. Yeah. So there's no judgment from our end. We love you and we support you. And our hope for you is that life works for you. We hope that life is good, that it's full of energy and vitality and love and peace and joy and space for yourself and what you want and need. So as we work together on this spiritual journey, my friends, you have our love, you have our support, and we're honored that you trust us along your spiritual journey. We also want to make sure there are resources. If you feel you need counseling or support, reach out. We will help you get to the right person and make sure that you have support for the journey. We don't want you to do it alone, and we hope you have or find a spiritual community. If you don't have one in person, if you're living around the country, please join us at Unity of Daytona Beach online. You can even join online and be an online member, but somehow find a way to get connected. Find a place that supports you in your light. Find a place that supports you doing the inner work, that honors you as a soul, and that will guide you into the inner realms where we know God lives in you. So, my friends, thank you so much for listening today. We're praying with Him for you and holding you in prayer always for God's highest and best in your life. So, blessings on the journey, my friends, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Experience of the Soul with Cynthia Alice Anderson. If this message resonated with you, we invite you to share it with someone who might need it today. This show is made possible by listeners like you, and we're grateful for the community that helps keep these conversations available to all. You can learn more or contribute to the show at cynthiaaliceanderson.com/donate. Produced by Kilgore Creative and a production of the Soulworks Group Incorporated. Until next time, take good care.